So is anybody here freaked out about the climate crisis, the ecological meltdown, the collapsing economy, or the Republican dismantling of our democracy? Well, I am, and I think it's about time that we have politics that actually deals with these things on the fundamental level. In fact, I'll give you a couple of examples here about the economy. You know that in 1979, the top 1% had 8% of the nation's wealth. By 2007, they had 23% of the nation's wealth. What that's done is lower the amount that the middle class and the poor have, and it's done it so much so that the economy has stalled. Because what drives the economy in our society is consumer spending. So now you got these Republicans talking about more tax cuts. All that's going to do is send the economy down the crapper. Right now, we are no longer a middle-class nation. According to the last census, there are now more poor people in the United States than middle-class people. Our college students owe $1 trillion in debt, and half of them have to go home to live after they graduate. That's what's gone on. There are 4 high schools in our entire district, the 6 counties, that have shops. High schools with shops, 1 full-time teacher. There used to be 40. Okay? This is not trimming the waste. Now, why is this happening? It's because all 41 of the Republican senators meet the diagnostic criteria for antisocial personality disorder, which is a form of psychopathy. And most of the Democrats do. Check this out. Failure to conform to social norms with respect to lawful behaviors, as indicated by repeatedly performing acts that are grounds for arrest. Deceitfulness, as indicated by repeatedly lying. Impulsivity or failure to plan ahead, like no exit plan. Irritability and aggressiveness, as indicated by repeated physical fights or assaults. Reckless disregard for safety of self or others. Consistent irresponsibility, as indicated by repeated failure to sustain consistent work behavior or honor financial obligations, and lack of remorse. You only have to have 3 of those. There are 7. I think it sounds really familiar to me. Also, you know, the largest organized crime syndicate and terrorism network in world history is the Republican Party. And the second largest is the Democratic Party. So I want to ask you, pick your favorite congressman or woman in American history. What will sending 1 more of those people into Congress do? The Progressive Caucus is already the largest caucus in Congress. Nancy Pelosi said impeachment's off the table. We had 8 years of an illegal presidency. I think that's not acceptable. I happen to be the first person to call on Norman Solomon to run, actually, about 6 years ago. It's kind of funny, because I think what we have to do is find a way to knock these corporatists out by electing community leaders, kind of like Saul Alinsky. The people that you naturally look to in this community are the people who should be in government. So the question is, how can we get those people in there? Well, think about $1 million. If you have $1 million to spend on a campaign like this, what do you buy? You buy TV ads. Well, what if we can reach as many people using the internet, YouTube, community meetings like this, and I've been to something like 20 debates in the last month and a half, all up and down the district. If you can do that, then you've defeated the advantage of the money, or most of it. And in fact, where I live in Garberville. I'm the only Humboldt County candidate. I've been showing my own ads that I advertised on TV on the David Letterman show and on the CBS This Morning show with Charlie Rose every day in Humboldt and Delaware County. It goes to every TV. So there are ways that we can do this. Now, one of the problems I've had with Norman, and Norman and I are pals, I mean, we challenge each other on stuff, but he hasn't done the model that I've developed. See, because the idea was if I can get elected doing this as the line went, then someone more famous than me, like Norman Solomon, Aaron Brockovich, Jim Hightower, Winona LaDue could get elected, and then 2 years from now, we'd have maybe 5 of us in there. Picture 5 Amy Goodmans and Michael Moores and Andy Caffreys and Julian Assanges in Congress. They will raise hell when the Republicans do the first thing that we don't like. They won't sit back like Obama and the Democrats and let the Republicans frame everything. Can you think of a single member of the federal government, Democrat, who is a leader on framing the path forward? They are all just responding to the Republicans. So when I go back to those 4 things I asked you about, the climate, the environment, the economy, do you really think that electing someone who's got as cool politics as Norman is going to do the job? Norman is doing it the establishment way, even though he's doing it with progressives. He's trying to raise the money. He's not trying to do the grassroots thing nearly as much as what I'm talking about, because what we have to do is build our politics out of the community groups, not tell the community groups what's going on. And I haven't seen many of these people that Norman talks about up where I live. In fact, none of them. So I don't really know what's going on there. But so he is now getting a bunch of endorsements from members of the Progressive Caucus. And the question is, well, how much is he really going to fight these people? Like we needed Pelosi, Woolsey and Thompson to fight Pelosi when they took impeachment off the table. In fact, I started fighting Thompson on this right when the impeachment should have started, 10 years ago, 2001. I don't think Norman's going to do it because 2 years from now, he's going to need these same endorsements. Rahul Grijalva and John Conyers and this stuff. What we need is a group of people who are set to take over the government. Take it away from the corporatists. And I think we need to do this by focusing on 7 major proposals. My campaign is called New Green America. My background is in green politics. I helped found the Citizens Party in 1979 and 80 when we ran Barry Commoner for president, an environmentalist. So I'm running registered Democratic because we can win. In this district, our polls, and I'm the only person who's conducted monthly polls, and the only candidate conducting polls who did not conduct push polls, these phony polls, our polls show that in this district, 72% of the people are going to vote for a Democrat for Congress in this election. Only 10% say they're going to vote for a Republican. 7 months ago when we started our polls, that was 20%. So the Republicans are getting fed up. In fact, I won over a Republican already today, here at this event. So what's happened is, as I've been going around talking about this agenda, no one has said it's too radical to me at all. And here it is. The first one, fight the climate crisis is threat number 1. Get off fossil fuels and nuclear power as fast as humanly possible. Rebuild America's infrastructure around bioregions and sustainability to meet all our needs as close to home as possible. Tax the rich. Medicare for all and expansion of the social safety net. We have to get off fossil fuels as fast as possible because we've let it go for 30 years. I'll give you an example. In the last 2 million years, CO2 level vacillated between 170 parts per million and 280. That's 110% different. We're now at 390, another 110%. Okay, in 1990, the science said we had to reduce our emissions 50 to 80% below 1990 levels by 2000 or 2005. President Obama is saying we can do that by 2050. And half of Greenland's ice is sitting on a layer of water now. So nature has some dirty deadlines for us that we have to make sure we absolutely do not cross, these thresholds. If Greenland goes, you're looking at a 20-foot sea level increase. If just 1/20th of it goes, you're looking at a 1-foot sea level increase, and that will wipe out Eureka, the biggest city in my county. So we have got to take the reins. We cannot just leave it to others. I don't want you to elect me to go in there to just fix it for you. This is about we have to come together and we have to design how we convert around our bioregion. How do we here? You and I are in the same bioregion. I live about 65 miles from here. Okay, we have to come together and define how do we get off fossil fuels and how do we rebuild our infrastructure to meet our food, clothing, shelter, and the rest of it. So, one other thing I'd like to say is I'm the only candidate who's actually changed the world, with the exception of Dr. Courtney, who has developed some incredible life rafts and is doing phenomenal work with cannabis right now. But this World Historic Figure thing, what happened was in 1987, the first release of genetically engineered microbes was going to take place in the Bay Area. And I organized a campaign out of Earth First where we did everything. We went to hearings, had press conferences, got signatures on petitions, wrote our own legislation that was going to be introduced in the state Senate by Senator Barry Keene, and had a lawsuit. And we lost. And then the night before this test, we went out and pulled up the strawberry plants. That's why I'm the world's first GM crop trasher. And what happened was there were 2 more tests. Both tests were hit by the Mindless Thugs Against Genetic Engineering and the Strawberry Liberation Front. And the company went bankrupt a year later. There were going to be 30 tests of genetically engineered microbes in the 2 years following. There have been none. So thanks to the work we organized, there have been no genetically engineered microbes released anywhere on the planet since 1987. I'm going into Congress to get things done. I've worked on over 1,000 projects and campaigns. You may have heard of Judy Berry. Well, my footage of her, Judy and Daryl and I were organizing partners, and I was behind the camera. My footage is in her film now. And I can tell you, no other candidate is going to go into Congress and go after COINTELPRO and the FBI like I will. I was supposed to be in the back seat of that car behind Judy. I would have lost my legs. That's scary enough. But they could have killed Beryl and Judy. And I still live with that every day. And they still haven't found the bomber. And the FBI is doing nothing about it. So this is an important local issue we have here. And so finally, I'll wrap up with the second kind of new politics. I would like us to have monthly conversion meetings where we start to look at how we convert. And then we write our own legislation. So I would like to introduce in Congress legislation that you all wrote. And so my campaign, once I'm in there, I'm going to send you video live after every day in Congress and tell you who's doing the good stuff, who's doing the bad stuff, what we have to organize around. I'll have a weekly 3-hour webcast with you. When I come back here for community visits, what I want to do is I want you guys month after month organizing here, and I come to your meeting. Okay? And then we wire it up so similar meetings are happening in the same place in all 6 counties, and the people in Marin can start to hear what we're going through, because it'll be a live feed. You'd ask a question here, and then someone in San Rafael would ask a question there, and someone in Crescent City, someone in Hayfork would ask questions. Because we have a median income of $35,000 here on the North Coast. Down in Marin is $85,000. We live in the third world of this district. But we have this incredible opportunity. We have Marin. Marin has got, well, my new Green America proposal is Pioneers meets Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Real simple. The rest of it is Medicare for all and expansion of social safety net, because we can. Why is it we have free cops, free fire department, free military service, but not free health care? Why is it there's $1,000 our young people owe because of their student loans? When I was in college, I paid $215 a quarter at UC San Diego. Why is it so big? We can choose and we can organize ourselves to provide these things, and we're going to have to do it, because to go through the kind of change I'm talking about, a war effort to convert away from fossil fuels and nuclear, everyone has to feel safe to get through it. So the rest of it is end corporate personhood, retreat the U.S. empire, use the military only to defend Americans and their property, legalize marijuana and end the war on drugs, prosecute the Bush administration for crimes against humanity, war crimes, torture, and murder, and electoral reform, ranked choice voting, paper ballots, public financing of elections, get corporate money out of elections. And just a couple of things here. I have a bumper sticker that tells you I'm certainly on the side of the fish. I'm against the drones in the National Forest. And I am a medical marijuana patient. So I'd like to introduce a friend of mine, John Llewellyn. You see, I'm the only guy who's willing to get arrested on the steps of the Capitol doing this. Medical marijuana has improved my life. I don't think another person should spend an hour in jail for marijuana. That's why I'm fully for legalization. Yes, we have this growing problem, but if we legalize it nationally, then we'll have more of a market from the rest of the country. Tom Hartman will start smoking it, because he says he's not smoking it only because it's illegal. So anyway, thank you very much. We have a revolution to wage. I don't think the other candidates are going to help the problems that we're dealing with, and if you agree with me, I hope you will vote for me on June 5th.